Hi everyone. After some time, here is some quick tutorial again for you guys. I was speaking with some friends who are following me on Instagram today. Shout out mainly to Mandy Karlovsky. We were nerding out a lot today about the up vector in Houdini and in general, but mostly in Houdini. And as I value and respect Mandy's knowledge a lot, we came to some kind of agreement or not. Because there's actually two ways, I would say, to generally look at the up vector. And the first way is its direction, and the second way is its purpose. So the direction of the up vector is probably pretty clear. You have like a vector, like the normal vector, and you also have a vector called up, and it points into some direction. Now, the second thing, its purpose, is something I stumbled across a couple of years ago, I would say, as pretty much every one of us using Houdini will have stumbled upon it. And this is when instancing. Because the second purpose of the up vector is actually locking another vector in its rotation. And I want to take the time quickly to show you guys what this means when instancing in Houdini. Let me first show you what I ran into when I first encountered this issue, the up vector. So what do we have here? We have a sphere. It's like a very bad flower setup. So what I did is kind of built the flower center with a sphere, clipped it again, scattered some points. I set a p-scale that fit for instancing later on, and then I calculated a normal vector. So I didn't build the normal on the sphere, which you can always, of course, do. Set it to points, but I wanted to calculate it myself because I think you can be precise about these things in particular, and we want to in this tutorial as much as we can. So there's not much wiggle room for doubt or other thoughts. There might be, I don't know. So what I did here was just normalize the direction of the world center towards the point position, which is this little wrangle here. And now as we have it, we can visualize the normal with this little button. So this is our normal. As we all know in Houdini, and it's probably one of the first things you will learn in Houdini, is that if you want to instance stuff onto points, you have to align the instance object along the z-axis. So let's see what I did here. Let's deactivate this. And if these points are the middle of the flower, this thing, as you can clearly see, is the petal. No, it's not visible. It's more like the skeleton of a petal, and that is actually when I ran into the issue first, when I thought I knew some stuff about Houdini, and then started scratching my head. As you can see, this instance object is oriented towards the positive z-axis, which is exactly what we always do and need to do in Houdini. And then I thought, yes, I have the normal, right? Can see it again here, beautiful. If I just instance this onto the points, it should be all nice and working, right? No, it isn't. And that's where the whole trouble started. If you look at this closely, you can see these are almost horizontal. This one over here is almost vertical. This is like somewhere in the middle. It's like they all should be in the same rotation, but they are not. See? And this was the issue I ran into back in the days, and I think I solved it after an hour or two by just remembering to set the up vector. And I didn't remember this or do this because I knew how it worked, but only because I heard it in a bunch of tutorials. To be honest, it fixed it kind of, but I lacked the control to really understand what's going on. And now you guys hopefully can follow me and follow along to hopefully learn how this up vector is working when instancing in Houdini. Because lo and behold, if I view this copy to points and I have this wrangle here called get up, local up, we will come back to this later, because mostly if speaking about an up vector, it's going to be a local vector, not a world space vector. But yes, forget about this again. Just see the up vector. You can pause the video if you want and just, hack this into your wrangle. Once I have v at up, Houdini knows and recognizes this attribute and will use it when instancing with a copy to points. So if I activate this now, you can see they are all rotated the right way. Now this does not necessarily have to be the way you want it to be rotated, but yeah, they all have the same basic rotation when being instanced. And you can, for example, change the rotation again on the object itself, because if you watch this closely and think about this being the direction of the normal on this scattered points or flower middle, this will be pointing along the normal, this z-axis, and the y-axis going up here. That will be the direction that this object will literally look at. Now, as this is kind of a okay example for the flower thing I ran into, and we can fake stuff by rotating this object that we're about to instance, maybe say 90 degrees this way, and you'll see now it works as we want. But I will show you a better way and a more professional or more technical way to really achieve this rotation and really understand what's going on here. So bye flower setup. Let's go to this, probably exactly the same setup with one or two minor differences. The cool thing about this setup is we have an object that has eyes and is actually looking somewhere. So this rubber toy flippy thing is oriented along the z-axis, as we always do, you remember, but it is also looking upwards towards positive y or along positive y. So this is maybe the better example to show you guys what I mean or what the up vector is all about. Let's start again maybe from here. We have this very bad flower middle I built. Set the normals the exact same way as before. I'm pointing this way. And then I have we can bypass this. I have a switch because I want to show you guys two different ways to make the up vector. I have a little switch here and two wrangles, but yeah, you can ignore this for now. If I instance these guys without having set an up vector, this is what it looks like. It doesn't look really wrong, on first sight, but if you look closely, what are these guys doing? Looking at each other. What? Why? It's not what I mean. They're cute, but come on. We want all of these guys to look in some predefined direction, and as we learned a couple of minutes before, the direction we want these guys to look at is the up vector. So again, our guy, this is the normal direction on the instanced points. This is the up direction. So it's looking pretty much somewhere. And now this is where things get interesting and what you guys will have to understand. If you do not set an up vector when you're instancing objects onto points, Houdini will start pretty much guessing what the rotation of this flippy guy should be. It can't know. And that's why I defined a second aspect of the up vector in the intro to this tutorial, because it's not just a direction, it's also a way to lock your instanced object on its own rotational axis. So these guys don't know where to look at. If I take this wrangle, we'll come back to this, what this means exactly in a second, and activate it, you can see now they are looking in one and the same direction, if you will. And the yellow vector is the up vector visualized. So they are all looking along this up vector. This is what we want. No guesswork from Houdini. No nothing, please. We want to be particular about this. The way I set up the up vector, you can see, is by taking the normal and calculating a cross product with a help vector, if you will. You can get into this maybe in other tutorials. They can explain this way better than me, but you are basically taking the normal, the point normal, and you are also taking the help vector, which in this case will be along positive y. As you can see here, this is the positive y vector, and you build the cross product of it, which will always be orthogonal to the normal, and it just pretty much builds a plane, and the plane will be between these two, the normal vector and the help vector, which is going to be straight up. And if you imagine a plane, this will be the normal direction of that plane. And this is pretty precise, I would say, and doesn't have much guesswork in which direction this up vector is pointing. I'm saying all this crap because there is actually another way to do this, which in this case has the same result. But I don't want to confuse you guys too much with this. But this is what most people do. They just say v8 up equals this upward y axis positive direction. The result in this case, and I can show you this, is the same. It is actually doing the same thing. It's just looking along the up vector. See this? Same thing. It's just rotated in a different way because the up vector is being rotated differently. Now, I know this works, but the longer I was crawling into the rabbit hole called up vector today for you guys, the less I tended to trust this way of doing it, and rather chose to always from now on be precise about my up vector and not have any wiggle room, because if you see this is not the same as this up vector when flippy is already kind of rotated. I don't know. I started to not trust this way anymore. So let's delete this wrangle, delete this switch, and from now on we will use this because this is very precise and very specific. Now this is pretty much the most important stuff you have to know about the up vector when instancing in Houdini. And I can do a little recap for you guys. You have the normal, which is, pointing in this direction. Then you have the object that you want to instance, which you have oriented along positive z for the normal direction. And you can also rotate it so that this thing or whatever object you have is looking along this positive y-axis, which will be the direction of the up vector once this thing is instanced. I hope this makes any sense. If you just build along maybe and put together this little setup, it will make a lot more sense. But all I want to say and show you guys is the up vector does not only have a direction, it also has a purpose. And this is to not let Houdini guess how your objects you want to instance will be rotated. Because again, I can deactivate the up vector and then it starts guessing again. And these two lovely cuties are looking at each other again. I don't want to separate them. They seem very happy, but yeah, this is how it should be. Now, to wrap this up, because this is already taking almost too long, you can rotate the normal around its own axis. And you can also, again, pause the video and just maybe hack in this little piece of wax into your wrangle. And you can see, if you move this around, they will rotate along the normal axis. Again, two purposes of the up vector. One, its direction, and you can see the direction here. And two, not having Houdini guess the rotation of your instanceable objects. So I hope this made any sense to you guys. I really hope so. It took me a long time to get away from my brain saying, oh, the up vector, it needs to point up. It does not. It is rarely pointing up. As you can see here, this is clearly pointing in each and every direction there is pretty much, and it doesn't have anything to do with up, which would be in world space in your viewport, this direction. Your brain or my brain or our brains will always confuse this. So I decided to take a little time to explain this. If you have any questions, feel free to write in the comments, or visit me on Instagram and write there, because I think I'm more active on Instagram than on YouTube. But yeah, I hope this was helpful, and see you guys soon and next time. Bye bye.